Hello.
Hello.
My name is Tosia.
And my name is Vanessa.
And we have started, this is take one, because every other take was messed up. We have started
Filming things are hard.
Filming audio, there's like an audio component. We've started a thing called a conversation project.
So this is our little brain child called a conversation project, which is a little podcast series that we wanted to start because we felt like we were having a lot of conversations with ourselves, with our friends, with a lot of people that we meet in the world that are not really being echoed at all in media, especially as they pertain to women and what women are experiencing, and just wanted to give an alternate platform to share some perspectives about what is going on in this world that is surreal and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are living in a time where a lot of shit, it doesn't make sense. And
it doesn't make a sense.
It makes no sense. And I think we're trying to, as human beings, normalize things that are basically bullshit and totally nuts. And there's not really a lot, certainly not a lot of women our age who are talking about these things.
Well, the true dialogue of women not being expressed in any form of news or media that we're able to
access in a mainstream way. So Conversation Project is just going to be about us talking about shit and stuff that's going to be maybe seeming provocative, or us just telling truths and hoping that some of those truths resonate with people, and that we as a world, global people who are feeling like disconnected from what's going on in the world can kind of get together and realize that we're actually not alone. We're not just like the crazy tin hat wearing people, that this shit is happening and it is going on.
And are frankly like the vast majority of people, I think, are feeling all of these feelings.
Yeah.
So we want to open it up to everybody else.
Yeah.
To have a voice and to try to talk about the things that we're trying to talk about, and what you guys actually think instead of what Vogue magazine told us that you thought.
Yes, or that anything or Instagram or Facebook told you that you should think. So Conversation Project. I'm Vanessa and this is Tosia, as she said, and we've been friends for a long time.
Forever.
Yeah, a long time. 15 years now or something?
17 years, I don't know.
And
18 years?
Yeah, we're just some regular old ladies in the world who want to make this first podcast because we are women, talking about our experience as women, because that's all we can really do in life is to share our own experiences, and have today's sort of conversation be about the concept of beauty and the crazy societal mandate on pressure that's put on women about this homogenous idea of what beauty is and that standard. And today we're going to just dismantle a lot of that as being the bullshit that it is.
Yeah, we're going to basically open this discussion up, the umbrella of it being that beauty is an energy and not an image.
Beauty is an energy, not an image. It doesn't matter really what you look like.
There is no one way to be beautiful.
If you're a shitty person, you're not going to be attractive.
You're a shitty person,
good person, you'll be more attractive.
Yeah.
So just really because we both have like young women in our family. So I have a 9-year-old niece. Tosia has a 14-year-old niece. And Tosia works with children.
I teach music and work with children. I have 30 kids that are between the ages of about 10 and 16.
Yeah. And so we are actually just sort of in awe, and this is kind of actually how this started, is that, well, what can we do as women who are elder millennials? And what can we do to lend a voice for
Can we just talk about how, like, in what universe we're elders? But it's true.
Yeah, in our ageist society.
Yeah, like that 33 is elder.
Yeah. That we're elders. But anyway, we're gonna take that stick and we're gonna run with it, and just hearing the shit that they're experiencing. That my 9-year-old niece is worried about whether or not she's too fat, and her 14-year-old niece is worried about whether she's too fat.
And can I let me just tell you, they're not fat.
No. And the fact that I pretty much spent most of my 20s hating myself because I have big boobs and big butt, and like I'm a little bit bigger.
Fat.
Like we're all dealing with it, and none of it's true. And like, let's start getting to the root of why we're meant to feel this way by advertisers, and what the point of that is. And also the fact that in our experience, I wish that I had someone tell me when I was in high school that all of it was nonsense, because it is. And so we're just going to share some stuff about our life to relate to that, bring some real life examples from the media that are on the internet right now, just to be like, this is being propagated to you as normal and reality and truth, and it is actually none of those things. So beauty is an energy, and it is not an image. So we want to talk about this myth of you are not enough. And where that comes from and what that means. So,
and why is it that every single one of us feels that? Who is enough then? You know what I mean? If literally one model is looking at another model thinking that they're not enough, like where does it end?
Exactly. And I think that if you talk to any single woman alive right now, she'll be able to rattle off 15 things that she hates about herself.
Instantly. She won't have to think about it. Yeah, absolutely.
15 things that she hates about herself, and will probably have a hard time coming up with 2 to 3 things that she loves about herself. And I certainly know from personal experience that I've spent most of my 20s, like up until my 30s actually, really self-hating and really saying...
I would say until 30, 31, for sure. My entire 20s.
Yeah. And so...
that was the narrative.
Yeah, and so like the amount of things that I've said to myself in the mirror that I would never say to another human being ever. Like, we're so hard on ourselves, and really just being like, wow, where does that come from, and why are we constantly in this battle within our own psyche? So media wants you to believe that you are not enough, and part of the way that they tell you that you're not enough is by making the culture around being a woman be obsessed with what we look like. So
to the point that we can't actually find like our passions and our joys.
Yeah.
Because we're spending 3 hours trying to like fit into a bodysuit.
Yeah, or to get out of the feeling of depression or insecurity or self-doubt, which can be hard to try new things because you don't think that you are cool enough or pretty enough or whatever. This whole enough. It's this unfillable cup of nonsense. And
I like that. It's an unfillable cup of nonsense.
It is an unfillable cup of nonsense.
It's the holy grail of nonsense.
Yes. And we as women have to kind of start becoming aware of this so that we can figure out what are the ways that we feel like we want to authentically participate in it, and what are the ways that we don't want to participate in it. And I mean, we're both wearing makeup. I curled my bottoms of my hair. Like, you know what I mean? Like there are things that we all do that make us feel, beautiful or presentable, and like that's okay, but it's all about just recognizing what is the balance with that. When girls, I lived in LA for a period of time, and like when girls are like 18, 19 years old and they're getting their faces jacked up with Botox so they can have this like perfect, like I've actually overheard girls saying like, I want to get the Kim K lip or the Kim K pout, which is all augmented surgery. When women are thinking that the way that they're born in like human embodiment is like not cool enough or not pretty enough,
and that there is more than one way to have a body. There's an infinite amount of ways to have a healthy body.
Yeah. And the thing is that you can't keep up with those standards all of the time.
Well, because there's always new one. Now there's eyebrow tattoos. Like, it never ends. It's even like literally be like where you're like you can become Krang from the Ninja Turtles and just be like a head in like a completely fake body, and then guess what?
The fake body's not good enough. Fake body's not good enough.
You need that better 2.0 fake body.
I know, it's literally
crazy. The question of why. Like, why do you do things? Do you do things because you truly feel more empowered by doing them, or are you doing them because you were told to do them, or because everybody else is doing them?
And that's the myth around like that, and why that's so harmful is because we're not all the same. We're never meant to be the same, and it's actually what is individually unique about us that is so beautiful and intoxicating. And we're so designed as women to believe that there is this comparison standard, like,
and a homogenized beauty. Like, we all have to look like this one thing.
This like blonde supermodel who's like 5'11" and like 90 pounds is like what we're supposed to be doing. Meanwhile, she's actually not healthy. Like, that's just not a healthy way to live your life.
And sometimes your skeleton weighs 135 pounds.
Exactly.
When you have no flesh on it whatsoever, your skeleton
I'm a big bone lady.
140
I'm a big
pounds.
bone. Yeah, and it's just funny that we're just so... we get so used to it, we get so conditioned about it that we're just constantly normalizing like our self-hate talk amongst each other, and that's just it distracts us from having conversations about shit that's meaningful. And at this point where we are in society, we really need to be getting together and having conversations that are meaningful and heartfelt about ways that we can show up in the world and show up for each other and show up for our communities
and women showing
show
up for each other
families.
hugely. That there's not just one job for every woman, and that we have to like chicken scratch our way to the top, beating other women down to do so.
And that we are so much more powerful when we support and love each other in our fullness. And it's really getting to that point of like supporting and loving yourself in your fullness for who you are, and that you are totally fucking enough, and that you are beautiful just the way that you're designed and like created, pardon me. And however you come to that place of self-acceptance is, you know, a way that each one of us figures out on our personal human journey. But this belief that we, for some reason, are flawed is just because we're women, and that we need to spend all of this money and time into being something else is a no-go.
So much of our money, and it's all about money. I think that that's the thing, is it's about like, you know, filling the coffers of people who are making some sort of horrendous like product to make you feel better about yourself, when really they're just like sitting like Scrooge McDuck, like diving into their coins.
I make my money off of you. If I hurt the young ladies, I make it the more
And
money.
you look fucking badass just the way you are. You don't need to wear makeup. You can if you want.
You can if you want, exactly. It's really just about getting to the point where stripping away all that and just like what makes you feel awesome. And so much of what the pressure is that's put on women too, which is in addition to like this concept that there's this one way to look and one way to be, and we're all scrambling to be that one thing, is this fucking insane belief that we're all doing it on some level for like this particular dude, like this men's attention, this like this guy's, or this belief like, well, guys won't look at me if, or guys really want that, or like, who are these guys?
Because I don't think they're really
Who the
like
fuck
that.
are
Like,
these
I have
guys?
a pair of pants that are like, I call them the dumpy drawers, and they're like the ugliest pants that exist in the whole world, but they're the most comfortable pants in the whole world. And you know who loves those pants? My boyfriend loves those pants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your boyfriend's gonna love.
Looks like I'm wearing a huge poopy diaper in these pants, but he's just like, look, those are your favorite pants, and you're so happy in those pants, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and that's what's beautiful.
He's
is
not
you
like, go
being
put
happy.
on ass pads in your pants.
Yeah, you being fucking happy in a G, that's what's attractive to people, to all people.
To all people,
men included.
yeah.
And that's what we really need to be focusing on as individuals and as women, is like, what are the things that really make you feel good and strong and whole and
switching
joyful?
from consumerism and to changing into being like, what is something that I love to do? What is something I can spend this hour doing that I love?
Yeah,
Instead.
Yeah, because you're not a commodity. You know, you're a human being.
You're a human being.
We're all human beings, and we live in this weird consumer society, and it's like time that we start talking about the fact that we're all feeling disconnected from it because it's not in alignment with the human value system. So we've been Tasha's amazing for this. She like alerts me to things on the internet because of
I
her
teach
kids.
the children.
She teaches the children.
And it's nuts. I wouldn't know about any of this stuff without them.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
And I
these kernels of wisdom.
And it's true. Like growing up, like I didn't get a cell phone until I was 18. You probably not till you're later, 20.
I was 20, and it was like the kind of phone that you like dial into space with.
Yeah,
It was this
I know, because like,
big.
excuse me.
Yeah, but I was excited about it because I didn't have to use a payphone when I was destitute. Like, there's things that we're not jamming on technology, but like.
So we didn't have phones and certainly didn't have social media.
I didn't have social media
much.
growing up, and I already felt shitty enough when I was 13. Like, that's the other thing.
So not only that, but like kids who are 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, they're growing up with
They should
Instagram,
be playing kick the
Facebook,
can. They should not be on their phone all day.
and all of these things that are making them feel less and less and less and less and less and very small.
And comparison, like constant comparison.
And I can't even imagine what's going on. And so because our 9-year-old niece and 14-year-old niece, you know, kind of like say the things that they're experiencing, and Tasha's students as well, we've just got a couple things on the internet too that have been really sort of hit us recently as a need to create a vocal counterpoint, because this messaging that's being broadcast about the over-sexualization of young women, like to the like really young women, like 10, 11, 12 years old, and what's going on in music especially.
Oh, and the idea that you and I are just past our prime, we need to go out to pasture, it's finished. It's over.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
done.
we're done.
We have nothing to say. Just in your 30s. Get out. Just
So,
get out.
This concept that this like it's really hyper overly sexualized environment that young girls are growing up is really dangerous, and also too that it's really eroding the relationship between men and women. And Tosh found this video, this really recent video that's been put out, and so we're just gonna play a little clip of Kanye West and Lil Pump's new video, just so you can get an idea of the kind of messaging that we're talking about, that is being broadcast into like the hearts and minds of young women.
Yeah, and we'll put up a clip of this, but here, we'll just let you listen to it.
Yeah.
It's, here it is.
You're such a fucking hoe. I love it.
That shit's catchy too, like
You're
that's the
such
problem.
a fucking hoe. When the first time they asked you want sparkling or still? Are you trying to act like you was drinking sparkling water before you came out here? You're such a fucking, I'm a sick
Thank
fuck,
you.
I like a quick fuck. I'm a sick fuck, I like a quick fuck. I'm a sick fuck, I like a quick fuck. I'm a sick fuck, I like a quick fuck. I'm a sick fuck, I like a quick fuck. I like my dick sucked. I buy you a sick truck. I buy you some new tits. I get you that nip tuck. How you start a family, the condom slipped up. I'm a sick fuck, I'm inappropriate. I like hearing stories, I like that hoe shit. I wanna hear more shit, I like the hoe shit. Send me some more shit, you trifling hoe bitch.
Ooh.
Stop. Okay.
You trifling hoe bitch.
So you guys can see in the video now, we're pulling it up now, that there are people, there's women in like
dark.
stockings ready to be snuffed out. We're not sure what these women are here for.
On their knees as well, which again shows like bondage and slavery, or just even like, you know, just the oppression or the playing small of the woman. And okay, sure, there can be this counter argument that it's art, or that it's like it's ironic, and
That's what I hear from kids a lot, is actually like, you guys don't get it, you guys don't get it, they're being ironic. I'm like, no, they're not. They're being brainwashing and horrendous and violent.
And when a child is hearing that, a child at 9 or 10 or 11
Boys
years old,
too. I think it's worse. I think it's worse that boys are hearing it.
that they're not recognizing the irony or the nuances in that kind of intelligent language.
And it's like, you like to get your dick sucked as a man? That's a shocker.
So like, just even that as a lyrical content, like, I'll buy you a sick truck, I like to get my dick sucked, is...
I'll buy your nip tuck.
I'll buy your nip tuck is exactly the fucking craziness that we're talking about right now. And like, that shit is just like absolutely not okay.
This also has 165 million views, guaranteed 75% of which are kids under 14, because nobody adult, I hope, is loving it.
No.
I think it's for kids. It's being made and marketed for teenagers.
For teenagers. And obviously, you know, as teenagers grow up through adolescence, they're not understanding relationship because everyone's on their phone. No one's able to really talk to one another. Nobody's spending any time outside. So it's a really bizarre, convoluted time even for young women and men to even be interacting. And then to hear that kind of messaging in this day and age, and that's just one of many videos that we could bring up.
The music industry is just rife with this at this point. Like, it doesn't matter which genre you're talking about too. This is one example, but it's every single genre. It's just like the most baseline, the most boring of poetry. Like, it's just, it's literally designed.
Because we're playing to the lowest common denominator
Absolutely.
all the time. And
that's what's popular.
But it's also, is it what's popular, or is it what really nobody's questioning? And I think that this is the other thing, is that so much of what we're told to believe what is normal is actually not normal, and it's actually not at all what most people experience. And this is the problem, is because we're being told that this should be your reality, when in reality it's actually nobody's reality.
And not being able to form your own opinion about it, because it's sort of like if you go to you go to MoMA and there's some painting and it's just a white canvas and people are like, you go up that and you look at that and you're like, that's fucking stupid, I can make that. And then one person's like, oh, but the type of white. And everyone, you hear all the little birds, they come like, oh yes, the type of white. Because no one has their own opinion about it, but really we all thought it was shit.
Yeah.
And I think we all think this is shit.
We can all agree that that's pretty brutal. Like, it is brutal. Like, that's the thing, is just like, not only from like a musical
It's not just
standpoint,
bad, yeah, it's like...
It's not only from a musical standpoint is it rubbish, but also just from like,
it is rubbish.
Yeah, it's rubbish. It's not only that, it's like, we should just, Bill Hicks, who's like a comedian, he once said, if it's a piece of shit, walk away. Like, we should be able to call a truth a truth.
Yeah, call a spade a spade, absolutely.
And the truth of that is that is for young women and young men, because it's catchy as hell. I was like, even when
No,
I
I'm
was
seriously.
like, playing it, I was like,
but we can change it to be like, I love the unicorns.
Yeah.
I ride them. That'd be
I
better.
made love and I am just enough, or like whatever you want to be. Like
You couldn't
there's
make
more
those lyrics
beautiful
not,
things to say.
not about how your dick likes getting sucked.
And women are not. We're not here to. We don't need to be ingesting that without a sense of awareness or discernment. And we need to create platforms of conversation where that's being supported. The other thing too, in terms of this,
The trafficking of extremes too. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The idea that, you know, there's no room for the normal woman.
Well, that's the other thing.
media.
So if you are like somebody who's growing up being like, I don't really know if I want to be like a quick hoe or get suck someone's dick for a trough. It's like shush away with your weird opinions. You don't exist in society. It's like we're given these models that are so extreme. Like
absolutely.
There's these young women on YouTube who are really successful who are like deeply unhealthy looking, who on the smaller side of the spectrum, like more towards like being quite skinny,
and are like frankly like on the brink of death skinny.
Mm-hmm. And we don't want. It's not about shaming. It's not about going into whether or not.
But it's the idea that like we're letting this girl try on outfits and we're just living in a fantasy world where she doesn't need to be hospitalized. That's not healthy.
Yeah. We have to stop coddling things that we know are not right. And that's just the truth of it.
And this goes for the other side of this spectrum too. 89 pounds is not an appropriate weight for a grown woman, and neither is 500 pounds.
Yeah. You're just not, there's just no way you can tell me that on either side of those spectrums that you're okay with yourself, because you're just physically not able to be healthy in movement. And it's so important that we switch the conversation from what we look like
from the
to how we
superficial
feel,
to the inside.
what we feel like.
Yeah.
Inside.
And it all stems from inner health, because you're never going to be ill on the outside if you're well on the inside.
No, and like there's so many beautiful ways to create a relationship with yourself that are not being talked about. But simple things like going in nature, spending time with people you love, like
looking at yourself dead in the eye in the mirror and telling yourself 3 things that you think are great about yourself.
Ooh, that can be so hard.
It's like actually hard, and you feel so stupid doing it, and you shouldn't feel stupid doing it, but you do, because you're like, oh, but I was told that, I think this cream will fix it instead. Well, it won't.
But really sitting with yourself and being like, okay, what are the things that I love about myself? And then focusing on those things and really starting to build this bridge of self-acceptance. Because unless we come to a place as women where we begin to really accept and love ourselves, then we're constantly going to be influenced. Constantly going to be influenced by fashion, constantly going to be influenced by other people's opinions, constantly going to be influenced by news media. And your life will never be your own if you're always going to be susceptible to those things. And we're all influenced by them because we see them. But what you're really choosing to take on and do and live has to get to a point where you're asking yourself this question like, do I even need that?
No.
Does that even make me feel good? Like, if you're 18 years old and like altering your face because you don't feel for some reason that it looks a certain way.
And there's us hags over here just like clawing at you, being like, oh my god, do you understand the skin that you have when you're 18? Like, what are you even...
Like, if I ever knew when I was 18, I was like, oh my god, I was so amazing. That's the thing too, like, when you're young, like,
you don't need a single
beautiful. Everyone's so beautiful from all spectrum of ages.
And aging gracefully is beautiful too. You looking like a badass older woman, like basically getting to be old is getting to have had, it's a gift. It's getting to have had a full life.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be ashamed about that.
And we actually laugh about this fact that because we're in our 30s that
we're old.
Oh my god, I swear to god. So
like that's what people are trying to tell me.
We had somebody who was staying with us, and this woman had came out of a marriage or an engagement, pardon me, and she like broke down crying, and she's like, I'm gonna be 30 next year, and who's gonna want me? And I was like, oh my god, girl, you have no idea. It gets so much better when you're in your 30s. Like,
my 30s so much the shit. I can tell you that right now. 20s, we like to say, what was it? It was 20s.
20s can eat a dick.
The 20s can eat a dick. I spent my entire 20s. It's so not about being politically incorrect. Correct.
But also correct.
Yeah, well, we'll go into this. So you had a friend.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. So this ties into our other point, which is like the whole like, as you can tell from this
why
language,
and who are you doing it for?
Like this guy that's singing this fucking song about you can suck my fucking dick. Well, he can go
be
suck
tarred and feathered out. Yeah, right.
He can suck his own dick. I think
You
if
can
he
take
do
ribs out for that. Why don't you get the surgery?
Yeah, why don't you suck your dick?
deal with
I'll
that
buy
on your
myself
own.
my own truck. Thanks very much. You get the surgery and you can suck your own dick.
Yeah, I won't keep buying these
The
things,
world
and I'll
is a better
actually
place.
have a career that I'm really proud of, and I'll do these sorts of things, and I'll buy my own truck, and then you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I'll just work on being like a nice, cool person.
But the thing I was talking about is you had a friend who they'd been dating for 6 months, right?
Oh, right. So
There's
like,
a gift. There's a gift.
So like this is all
a gift
too
story.
comes from just like this weird like now it's because it's fucking with the brains of the male,
Exactly.
where they think like, oh, my girlfriend needs
Because nobody wants this thing that's coming up right now. I promise.
no, so my girlfriend basically, she went out for a date with her boyfriend. It was her anniversary. They were 6 months in, and he like, you know, they're at dinner, and he brings out this envelope and like pushes it across the table, and she's like, oh, like in her head, she's like, it's a concert ticket. Is it? Yeah, exactly. It's a massage. And she opens it, and she was like, what? Sorry, what's this for? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I just thought, you know, like you might want to get this. And it was a certificate, I shit you not, no pun intended, for anal bleaching.
And this goes back to the question of why, because a woman cannot physically see her own asshole.
So why?
So how white does an asshole have to be good?
Like, what is a good asshole? Now, since we're really, do you see how when we start breaking down and not talking about things that actually matter, we start having conversations about, does my asshole need to be bleached or not? Does my labia need to be nip tucked? Does my face need to look like melted candle wax? These are conversations that we are having
Ludo from
when we could be
Labyrinth?
having conversations about how I heal myself. Yeah.
No.
How I heal myself, or how can I show up more for the people that I love, or how can I create a life that I'm proud of, or how can I live authentically? And these conversations, of course, are happening, but it's just there's so much of what we as women, we have to shift through this like landfill of bullshit. And this is primarily in North America. I mean, I've traveled quite a lot, and so has Tosia.
Absolutely.
And this is primarily like such a heavy bombardment only really exists in North American rhetoric and media to this extent. But where young girls are just like,
but I need this, and then I need eyelashes, and then I need new nails, and then I need...
And then it's
and
8:30
girls are
and the
spending,
fucking date's over. Yeah.
It's like $700 a month just to like feel like you can even exist because you get all these things, you know? And like, this is like totally nuts. Like, I've met girls who...
And that's what shows are. Shows are just women. If it's a show that's geared towards women, it's all women talking, like The Talk, like The View.
Oh, God.
It's all just a bunch of like mean, narcissistic hens sitting around and saying, well, there's this new product, and there's this new product, and buy, and this, and men, and this is the best way to please your man, and like, who, what?
Well, it's that sort of, it's again, just like the evolution of like the 1950s, like housewife sort of stereotype. But there is a lot of programming in media, especially in like the daytime arena.
We're so much more than that as women.
Totally, 100%. But it's also really like making the narrative so small that all we do when we get together is gossip about other women, or we talk about ourselves, or we talk, you know, and that's actually not the case at all. Like all of my life, I've been able to be supported by such a beautiful community of strong, intelligent women that make me want to be a better person and a better woman, you know, and that inspire me constantly, and that I can share parts of my life with and be vulnerable with. And those are the things that really allow for evolution of true beauty as it stands as an energy, and has nothing to do with what you look like. And when you're in that place of power and that place of kindness and acceptance, then that's when you start getting all the attention that you were maybe spending and investing all this time into products to get, because it's coming from a really beautiful, real and raw and radiant place. And yeah, so this idea that, you know, you're a commodity is absolutely not true.
And we're in a time where women more than ever have to speak up about their truths and the things that matter to them and their passions and how to run things and how to change the world and how to be badass. And we honestly don't really have time.
We ain't got time.
Ain't nobody got time for that
I know
shit.
time is up, 'cause we ain't got the time.
We really don't have that time. Occasionally we just do a little
We need to be getting together as women to figure out how to fix the immense damage that has been done since we weren't allowed to do anything except vacuum and take Valium.
Yeah. And that is a collective wounding of the female psyche, and that's existing all over the world. We are, like, there's, from traveling, I'm very aware of the fact that I feel so lucky to have been born in Canada, because
it's like the life lottery. We're not, we know.
There's like 3 places in the world, in like North America, I would say Western Europe, and then Australia and New Zealand, where you can live autonomously and independently as a woman. Pretty much everywhere else, you still have those very, very defined roles of betrothal, or like being a mother as your primary station. Education's not available. Like, there is a lot of oppressive faculties in existence that exist all over the planet, and they're actually still the norm. And we are just really fortunate to be able to have a voice, even, and to have an opportunity to choose who we sleep with, how we dress, what kind of a job we want to have, what level of education we can have access to. And that's not something I take for granted.
No, and that's also something that, like, if you look at history and the repercussions of what everything has been done to women throughout the last 2,000 years, we live in a time now where we are finally able to kind of do whatever we want to do. But that's why this voice is so important. This is why this is so important to be talked about, because now we have to move past the superficiality of being able to be an independent woman.
Yeah, girl. Yeah. We have to move past the superficiality and move now more into out of the head and into the heart, because what the world needs right now, as we just heard from that like intensely hard music and dark music, is that we do need the feminine softness and the feminine consciousness and the feminine compassion, and men have those qualities as well.
And we need our men warriors. Like, we're completely 100% behind the idea that, I'm a feminist, but I'm not anti-men.
No, exactly.
In any way whatsoever.
We're equalists.
Yeah.
That we actually need to rise together in unity as men, or as all people that are believers in a better reality. Because
it's getting really dark.
Mm-hmm. And this is 100% what this podcast series is about. It's about us getting around, talking about things that we've experienced, that we've observed, that we've heard, that we've seen, and taking them and shining a light on all of the bullshit that existing in society that you are being told that you need to believe, when in actuality it's probably not your personal experience, and getting to that point where you're trusting what your personal experience is to create your reality. And then that social conditioning has less of an ability to control you or to influence you in your life, which means that you'll be able to create a life of authentic happiness for yourself. And that's the whole fucking rub, because when you feel powerful, when you feel powerful in your body, and you feel powerful in your life, and you feel powerful in your voice, it's like then you are not able to be controlled. And that's the shit that we want to motivate amongst young women and amongst people, is because we all need each other right now in such a huge ass way.
And the cash money and the powers that be don't want us to do this.
No, they don't want you to rise up.
We want to hear what your opinions on this are. We want to hear what your voice has to say. We want to hear about your experiences.
Yeah.
And we want to all talk about them, and we want to dismantle them together.
Dismantle them together, exactly. And it's not about the belief that any human being should have one way of living or one way of looking.
No, dude, the world is your
oyster. Or one way of experiencing, because we're all so different, and we're all so beautiful because we were created to be these different things.
Like every single person is beautiful. I walk around all day being like, beautiful, beautiful, look at that smile, those teeth, blah, 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 beautiful. And then I'll go home and be like, you're a piece of garbage.
Yeah, and why, as women, we're conditioned to do that. It's like we see beauty everywhere else but ourselves.
You don't look at a tree and you go, that tree has less branches.
Oh, take the tree away, got it down to me.
That leafless tree, cut it down.
I can't look at it.
It's not
just
adding it to the scenario.
I shall strike it.
We don't do that with anything, but we do that as women to other women and to ourselves.
And it's not serving us. This is a thing. This is about wanting to, for my 9-year-old niece, for her 14, for everyone, we need to stop putting energy into things that don't matter and start putting energy into the things that do. And the things that ultimately matter in terms of this particular conversation about beauty as an energy and it's not an image, is really letting go and allowing yourself to understand that what you are being told is by media, by mainstream media, let me also reiterate that, by mainstream media,
of course,
that is normalized, is actually in no way not in any way alignment with a human value system of contentment or happiness. So it's never going to make you happy. It's never going to make you feel beautiful. It's never going to make you feel empowered. So let's stop putting money and time and energy into this belief system that we need to be something else other than ourselves or look a way other than the way that we look in order to be a person.
And it's as little as things like compliment a woman that you see on the street. Compliment, don't compliment on her looks, but compliment her on something else that she did or something that she's doing. Compliment a young girl on how strong she built something over how beautiful she looks in that dress. It's all those little things. If each one of us did one of those things every single day.
Yeah.
It's not a mountain, it's a molehill.
Yeah, it really is. And it's like getting into the rhythm is because kindness is ultimately all of our only real responsibility in this lifetime.
Absolutely.
And we live in a culture that is so quick to judge and so quick to condemn and so quick to troll. And if we just really switch that paradigm into sharing compliments or sharing vibrational, like sharing observations that promote a higher vibration, you know what I mean? Or talking about things or appreciating things or acting in gratitude and humility, we can create a much stronger fabric amongst our relationship to community and amongst relationship to the understanding that we are all human beings, that we're all in this together, that we all are trying to make sense out of a truly insane world. And the only way that we're going to really get through that is by naming what's insane. And this whole concept that you need to get eyelashes on fleek or contour your face or dismember your body or
I can
augment
promise you that
something.
my asshole isn't bleached.
My asshole's not bleached. And by the way, if you're with some dude who's like, yeah, girl, I was about to
Then,
hit it,
yeah,
but
that's
your
the other thing.
asshole
That's not
is
your
not
dude.
bleached.
It's not your
That's
dude.
not your fucking dude. And that dude probably has
Yeah.
some issues he needs to sort out with himself and his therapist, and that's not your problem.
But it's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to yourself and to the other women and to lifting those other women up.
Yeah, and to like, what are we teaching our kids?
Man, like, look what we could get done. Just think about what we could get done.
Girl, women are so powerful.
Like, it's ridiculous.
If we shifted what we were talking about from how many likes we got on an Instagram picture to what are ways that we can change compassionate dialogue in this world, or how can we step away from media culture and start presenting in a way that is totally celebratory of the unique individual. I mean, we're doing it in small ways, but still really being aware that like this subconscious programming that's coming through is that like Kanye West is, and like the Kardashians, God bless whatever their thing is, but that's really a terrible image
But that'll
for
be
young
a different
girls.
podcast.
Yeah, that'll be a different
They're gonna
podcast.
get darker and deeper, and it was, this is where we're starting.
So the other thing too about beauty is an energy and not an image is that energy attracts right energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is like,
You know those days where it could be whatever kind of day, but you look in the mirror, you're like, my fucking hair is the best today, and I am feeling myself every single time you go out into the world, and what you perpetuate in the world on those days, we've all felt it, like the influx of attention and positive energy that we get from other people when we are feeling positive about ourselves. Every single one of us knows how that's felt, you know what I mean? And why aren't we doing that more often? Why are we doing that 3 times a month when we could be doing that every day of the month? What? There's so much energy being put into being down on yourself.
so much energy being put into being down on yourself, but also too, if you are in like a state where, you know, even like you're running around like going to yoga and you look like a pile of hot mess and you're sweating, but you've like done something for yourself that day that makes you feel beautiful, like going to yoga, and like obviously like a bunch of people are going to respond to that, and you're like, oh well, that's so weird, I look like total ass today,
But
like
maybe we're thinking
dudes
about it,
but
yeah.
like 5 dudes hit on me today, and you're like, that's weird. And then sometimes you get all dolled up and you go out and but you're not feeling yourself that day, and nobody really responds in the same way, and it's because energy attracts like energy. And so if we focus on cultivating an inner garden where we feel strong and seen and beautiful and are doing things that make us happy and are okay to be vulnerable sometimes and are okay to like be where we're at,
And are in our truth of what that thing is, because it's different for everybody.
yeah,
You know?
then people will respond to that. Like, that's when the right dude's gonna be like, yo girl, I see you. I don't know if that's how all dudes talk, but like,
I think that's probably not your dude.
okay. So, but anyway, the intelligent,
Neither
beautiful
is
male,
Hello
the
Foundation.
intelligent, beautiful counterpart to your intelligent, beautiful counterpart is more likely to show up when you're in that frequency and in that zone. So please,
Absolutely.
please, 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 please spend more time really falling in love with yourself.
Yeah.
Spend more time
And catching
figuring
yourself
out.
quickly when you are being shit to yourself.
Oh, God.
I think that's the other thing, because you are going to be shit to yourself.
Yeah.
And you can't, don't guilt yourself into feeling like you can never do that again. But to catch yourself mid-sentence bagging on yourself.
Yeah.
And being like, no, that was some sort of horrible demon that was put in there that has nothing to do with how I feel about myself. Okay, thanks. Like,
Away, I rebuke.
so
Away.
it's just catching yourself midstream in those thoughts about yourself or about other people and shifting it to be like, why am I thinking that thing? What happened to me today that's making me feel that way? What is it? Because it isn't actually what you feel.
It isn't actually
It isn't what
feel.
your heart and your energy feels.
And it's also true, is like we all go through things as human beings. We all experience trauma. Most people grow up in family environments that are shitty, and we're not taught how to love ourselves.
Yeah.
So this is the other thing too, is like we are not taught how to love ourselves, the majority of us, and we're all certainly not going to be taught how to love ourselves from media. So find ways to create a rhythm in your life where you can spend time alone and figure out what really you love about yourself and create more and more pathways to that emotion.
Yeah. Wear a color that makes you happy. Like if you love this color and you look down at your sleeve and you're like, man, I
And get
love
specific
blue.
too. Like
Yeah,
get
if you love it,
specific,
wear
like-
it. Do it.
Like, I'm a super weirdo. I certainly, and Tasha can attest to this, like, I wear weird shit all the time because it makes me happy.
You do. You
Like-
look like a mystical, like
Just because it makes me happy, and
Yeah.
everybody else is like, what? And I'm like,
it's like an Amazonian fairyland wonderfulness. It is. And then I'm the person who like fully is wearing yoga pants and sweatshirts all day, but that's my jam. Like
Yeah.
you just find your jam.
Yeah, and the thing is that there is no one person that you're supposed to be. This idea of sameness, or this idea that we're all should be homogenized because we're competing over one fucking dude or deity, I have no idea. But it's garbage, because the people that are meant to see you, like, as a quote that I heard once, is that you can't miss what's coming to you. You can't miss what's coming to you. So this concept that like you need to change to be something for somebody else is garbage, because actually when you are yourself, that's when somebody has the space to be able to recognize how
And you
beautiful
find your
you
tribe
are.
that way.
Oh
You
my
know
god,
what I mean?
Vibe Tribe
Yeah.
is such a thing.
Vibe Tribe is such a thing.
Soul Family and Vibe Tribe is such a thing, but that's another podcast. So
Yeah, so
we're
we
gonna,
just-
because we can ramble forever.
It could go on and
Not
on. So
rambling
we want to
ladies.
open up to everybody else. Tell us stories about how this has affected you in your life. Tell us everything. You know,
Yeah,
we love
like-
you. We want to hear about you.
Yeah, we do, and we want this conversation to not be in friend groups, in communities, in relationship to each other. Let's start talking about shit that fucking matters and matters to us, not things that we're told that are supposed to matter, like getting 1,000 Bentleys or spending $20,000 in a Louis Vuitton purse when the environment is like dying from over consumerism. About stuff that really matters to us on a human level. No bullshit, like full vulnerability, and we can start being there as allies for each other, no matter our race or gender or creed or geographic location or socioeconomic standing. What is mattering at this time in the world right now is that we collectively as human beings start to dismantle this illusion of separation and start collectively getting together to create a world that we want to fucking live in.
Because when we do that, we hold unmitigated power.
Because we are powerful, magical, cosmic creators.
Don't you like
We
being?
are not,
I love
we
being
are
a
not, we
magical
are not,
thing. Like
we are
I'm
not,
basically
we
a
are not
unicorn. I'm
small.
just gonna live my
So
life like that.
small.
Yeah, we're all magical unicorns. That's the fucking truth. Yo, that's the truth that they don't want you to hear, is that
Yeah.
you actually can do anything you want.
And loving yourself is just an act of defiance that is worth doing.
What? It's the non-comply dance, non-comply dance, non-comply
We are
dance.
Tasha and
My name is
and
Vanessa.
this is a conversation project.
Talk to you soon, hopefully.
Bye.
Bye.